So season 12 of the Lincoln Loco is about to kick off. We've done an awful lot of business over summer and we spent technically £100 million on a single player. So all of that's to come. Let's get started. Hello and welcome back to the Lincoln Loco. Today it is a brand new season, so there's plenty of stuff to get through and loads of stuff to tell you about. But first of all, before we get into anything, I need to say a big thank you to a few people who have joined the Patreon. So we set up the Patreon the other day. There's a video about it that came out the other day, and I'll leave a link if you haven't seen that yet, if you want to have a look at it, see what the Patreon's about, and I'll leave a link as well also to go to the actual Patreon page if you want to get involved yourself. You can find those in the description, but there'll also be probably something on the screen now that tells you where you can go to see those. But I've got to say a big thank you to Krista Simmers for donating to the Patreon. Also Matthias, I think that's how you say it. I think he's Dutch. I think the name is spelled in a Dutch way. I think it's Matthias. So if I said that wrong, I apologise. But thank you very much for donating to the Patreon. Also big thanks to Ross French as well. Thank you very much for donating to the Patreon. And a huge thank you to Husky, who is now the proud sponsor of Adrian Lacasic. So in the video, you'll see his name next to Adrian Lacasic. You know, like in a football programme. I don't know if they do it in like the Premier League or anything, or in other countries, but I know, especially at Lincoln City, you can sponsor a player, which is kind of what I wanted to include in the Patreon as part of the perks. So Husky is now the proud sponsor of Adrian Lacasic and is now responsible for all of his kit, basically. So remember that, Husky, you're paying for his kit basically now. Right, where do we start? Because there's so much to talk about, so much. Right, first of all, we'll start off here. Facilities, we're now back at Grant Brown Park Stadium. It's been redeveloped once again. We built, obviously, then we went out for a year because it was being expanded. So we're now back there in the 36,969 seater stadium, so basically 37,000. Better training facilities are also being implemented. They'll be done very, very soon. So we're going to have some better training facilities in the next few weeks, which is pretty cool as well. So that also happened over summer. I think the last thing before we get to transfers is financial fair play. I think we did fail it, but I didn't say anything about point deduction or fine or anything, so I don't know if we actually did fail it or not, but again, we're projected to fail it again at some point, so we'll just see what happens. Right, on to the big news, the transfers. That is what you want to see, and of course, as I said, we spent £100 million on a single player, technically. I'll explain more of that in a minute, but this is the business that we have done. There's a lot of transfers, 4 in, quite a few out, so we'll talk about the outs first. As we predicted, Jesus Jimenez was the player to go. £45 million to West Ham in the end, which I think was a fantastic deal for us financially. It was debated a lot and I had to think about it an awful lot, which striker to sell. We knew we were going to keep Thomas and Mark Hall, and then we thought about maybe selling Hammer Time because he could get us a lot of money and he's getting on a little bit. I say he's getting on a bit, he's probably like 24 years old. But he was outscored by both Hall and Thomas last season. So we thought maybe selling him, but everyone in the comment section said no. So we decided not to sell him in the end. Jimenez has gone. £45 million has been brought in, which is pretty decent as well. Benteke's also gone to Atletico Madrid for £30 million. I wasn't planning on selling him until a bid of £30 million came in for him, and I was like, I could take that because he wasn't worth 30 million and he probably still isn't now. So I thought that was good money to take. So he's gone. Diaz has gone as well for a ridiculous fee of 24.5 million. I don't know what Brighton are thinking spending that kind of money on him. He's not worth that, but they spent it. So good for me. Reg Ragui, another backup centre-back's gone for the Shangang for 19 million. And Reynolds, Nicky Reynolds, the goalkeeper, after being on loan at Everton last season, has gone to them for £6 million. There's a few of the players out on loan as well, but we don't need to talk about those because they're not important. Crazy Eyes, though, did leave the club. He left at the end of his contract, didn't want to sign a new one, and has now gone to join Inter Milan, which is a little bit annoying. So I wanted to keep Crazy Eyes. Unfortunately, he's gone, but it doesn't matter because we've got a better midfield now. Right, on to the ins then, which is very, very important. Let's have a look at this then. So Reg Ragui left, and we thought, right, we need another centre-back coming in who's as good as him, or if not better, as backup. And Yuri Zuk from Dinamo Kiev is the bill for that. 15.25 million. He comes in as our, to be fair, actually, now that Benteke has gone, third choice centre-back. He's very decent in the area that he needs to be, so that's good for me. Came in on a pretty cheap deal as well, rotation 50k a week, £15 million. I'm happy with that kind of deal. That's pretty decent, I've got to say. So yeah, third best centre-back behind Patino, although he's as good as Patino really, and Kaufman obviously out there as the best, but he's a good player for most Premiership sides. Played some decent football in Ukraine the past few seasons. This is what really drew my attention, his high ratings, and he's played one game this season already, got a high rating. So if he keeps doing that, I'm happy to have him. We'll ignore these big 2-1s just for now. Rafael Augustino is the man we're going to talk about next. Diaz left. I've tried to get rid of Shalon, but I just can't get rid of him. No one wants him because he's on such high wages, which is a bit really stupid of me to put him on that high wages. So he won't leave the club, but we have brought in Rafael Augustino for £13 million as an attacking midfielder. 3-star current ability. He's decent enough. He's decent enough for what we need. We're probably not going to use him too much this season. We're probably going to stick to 2 strikers, I think, more often than not. But he comes in as a pretty decent player. He's had some decent football in the Brazilian First Division the past few seasons, so he's there as probably more of a backup player than anything. You may see him a little bit, but don't expect too much. But I think he's a good addition to the squad and came in at £13 million, which is a pretty cheap deal, I thought, so I'm happy to have him. Right, George Hernandez is the player we need to talk about next, and basically, Liverpool cost us £63 million because we had a deal to sign a 4-star right-back on a free transfer. He wanted to leave Seville. We had a deal to sign him, basically. It was an expensive contract, about £210,000 a week, but for a free transfer, we thought that's probably too good to pass off. Until at the 11th hour, Liverpool came in and offered him nearly £300k a week, and he signed for them instead. So we had to look for a new right-back, because I don't think Gomez is really going to cut it this season. So George Hernandez is the man we brought in for £63 million. 4-star current ability, 4-star potential, 27 years old, Argentinian right back. Very, very similar actually to Gomez. Gomez also 27 and Argentinian. But he comes in as the best right back in the club. Got some really decent stats where they matter. Crucially plays as a wing back or full back, which is what I like to play as. So that's pretty good as well. As you can see, he comes in as the best right back. In fact, Kaufman is apparently better than Gomez at right back, according to Phil Neville, which is interesting. But leading player for Premier League sides. Played a season for Madrid last year. Did very well, but of course before then had some pretty decent seasons out in Brazil and Argentina. So I'm excited to have him at the club. Think he's going to be a great addition. And fingers crossed he'll be supplying loads of assists. And then finally, the £100 million man, Oriol, comes in from Barcelona as one of the best players in the world. Now, it says 87 million there, which is the fee we paid to Barcelona. But if you include agent fees and signing on fees, it does go up to £100 million. So technically, we have spent £100 million on a player. And this is the man, 5-star current ability, 5-star potential, 24 years old. Absolutely incredible. Look at those physicals, look at those mentals, look at those technicals. He's perfect in every single way. Absolutely adore him. Played his entire career at Barcelona, and although his average ratings haven't been brilliant in the past few seasons, last season he played very, very well. And of course, when you've got a player of that quality, 5-star current ability, he's worth every penny, really. The scouts rated him 100 out of 100 and things like that. So we had to get him on a big contract, I've got to say, but I think he's worth it. As long as he performs, he's worth it. Now, after we signed him from Barcelona, Barcelona have then decided to unsettle both our other really good central midfielders, Jalapeno and Mertens. We nearly had a deal to sell Jalapeno to Barcelona for £73 million until I went on the Discord and said, should I actually sell him for £73 million? And everyone was like, no, don't sell him. On the grounds that we'd only have 3 central midfielders if we sold him, and we'd be quite thin on the ground. So really, he's probably not worth selling. If we're only going to have 3 central midfielders and we'll be thin on the ground, and if we want to try and win the Champions League this season, we need rotation and things like that. So we decided to keep him instead. I'll put his screenshot up now, actually, because we also had the Butcher. We rejected an offer for like 83 million for him from Real Madrid. I didn't realise it was 83 million. If I'd realised that, I think I would have accepted it. But at the time, I just saw offer for the Butcher. No, I'm not taking that. So that's maybe my mistake, but we can brush over that because he's a great player for us. So before we get into today's fixture against Crystal Palace, we've got the Champions League group stage draw to do, which is fantastic. We've played 2 games of the season already. In fact, 3 technically, because we beat Southampton in the Community Shield 4-1, Mark Call with a hat-trick, Hammer Time with the other one. Then beat Bournemouth 5-3 in the opening game of the Premier League season. Hammer Time with 2, Mark Call with 2, and Oriol getting a 90th minute one. And then last time out, we beat Chelsea 2-0 with Morella and Wilfred Thomas scoring the goals there. So unbeaten record so far. Had some pretty decent friendlies as well. Only drew with Inter Milan, who actually, incidentally, went on to win the Champions League last season, which is a bit frustrating because we beat them in the group stages. And it turns out we're the only team in Europe that did beat them in the Champions League last season. So annoying as that is, it does mean that we can beat the Champions League winners on our day, which does fill me with confidence for this season's Champions League. Right, we are a first seed club for the Champions League this season, which is pretty exciting. So we can't get any of these big sides, to be fair. CSK Moscow are top seed. I suppose they're top seed because they must have won the Russian league or something like that. There's a few second seed teams that I don't want to face. Now, we can't face United, Liverpool or Arsenal because they're English sides. So we've got either Juventus, Dortmund, Seville, Madrid or Barcelona, which is scary. Now, we beat Barcelona last season. We beat them in pre-season, so I wouldn't mind having Barcelona. I don't really want Real, but I would be happy with Dortmund or Seville. Juventus probably going to be a bit too tough. So we'll see who we get. We're in Group E, by the way. I didn't even look at that. So let's draw these teams then. Barcelona's gone, Arsenal's gone, Seville, Man United. I want Dortmund. Please be Dortmund. It's Juventus. It's not too bad. I wouldn't mind Juventus, but I would have preferred Dortmund or Seville, I think. So third seed sides. To be fair, I reckon out of these third and fourth seed sides, we could probably beat anyone. So I'm not too fussed who we get, actually. Who are we going to get? Olympiacos. That's actually probably one of the easiest teams out of the third seed to get, I think. That's probably a bit cocky, actually. I don't know. But I think out of these third seed sides, they're probably one of the easy ones. And then in the fourth seed, who are we going to get? It is Lille. So a much kinder group than last season. Last season, we had Inter Milan and Barcelona, which was ridiculous. This season, I think it's a much nicer group for us. So I'm happy with that. I'm actually very happy with that. I think I'll be unhappy if we don't top that group. Like last season, when we had Barcelona and Inter Milan, I wouldn't have been upset if we didn't qualify for the later stages because it was such a tough group. But this year, if we don't top it, I think I'm going to be cross. PSG still trying to get Sesa. They've been trying all season, or summer rather, and they're not having him. And they can offer me as much as they want. He's not going. Barca are also trying to get Jalapeno again, but they're not offering me £73 million again. And I don't want him to go. So, sorry boys, but you're not having him. So this then is the lineup for today's game against Crystal Palace. I think we're going to move to this more two-striker system rather than having one striker and attacking midfielders. So this will probably be the formation you'll recognise most this season. So Sesa starts in goal. Bacholk is at left-back today. And you want to know why? Well, that Belgian chap in the last game of last season damaged his cruciate ligaments and has been out since the last day of the season and probably won't be back until, what, 3 months' time? So we're nearly in September, so probably December, January time, we'll be back properly. So he's been out for a long time, bless him, but he'll come back fighting. And Bacholk, in the meantime, has been doing a fantastic job. So alongside Bacholk is Patino, Kaufman, and the new guy, Hernandez. Oriol comes in as a Carrillo, so it sort of moves Mertens over to that deep line playmaker position. So him and Jalapeno are probably going to be competing for that position this season. Morala on the left wing, Lacasic on the right wing because the Butcher picked up a knock in the Bournemouth game. And then Hammer Time and Mark Hall start up front today as the striking duo pair partnership thing. Right, kickoff is upon us here at Crystal Palace's Selhurst Park. And I'm very much looking forward to this. I think we should be winning it. I mean, I say that. We should be winning every single game. With title holders, we should be trying to defend our title and win every single game along the way, just about. Early chance, though, for Palace. As I talk about us needing to defend our title and winning every game, they've scored. So, well done. I'm not too fussed about the Premier League this season, though. The main aim this year is obviously Champions League. That's what we've got left to win. I think the secondary aim is going to be the Premier League, obviously. We want to obviously finish in the top four. We should do that quite comfortably. But winning it is going to be like a secondary aim this season. I suppose with the third aim, we want to try and get the quadruple, I suppose. Or in fact, actually, we won the Community Shield, didn't we? So actually, the quintuple is on this season. If we can stay in the cups and things like that, a quintuple is on. And that would be absolutely incredible. So that actually is probably like in the background as a third aim for this season. However, if we play like we're doing so far against Crystal Palace, none of that's going to happen because we only had the one shot so far. Now there's two, but still not a single one on target. We played pretty well in the first two games of the season, but as you saw by the scoreline, like we conceded 3 against someone and we conceded 1 against someone else. I mean, I can't remember who it was now. We beat Chelsea, didn't we? Oh, yeah, we conceded 3 against Bournemouth and 1 against Southampton in the Community Shield. So we have got a good attack that scores goals, but we also at times do lack defensive options. I don't know really why. Perhaps it's just because we overcommit up the front of the pitch, maybe. That's probably the issue, actually, I've got to say. I mean, I suppose if we fully commit, we've only got the 2 centre-backs at the back who can really stay there because, of course, we've got our full-backs that sort of push on a bit as well. But we've got to have a chance there, but Mark Hall absolutely ruined it there. But we've got a chance now as Oriol, the new boy, the £100 million man, gets a tackle in and puts a great ball out towards Morala, and he gets back into the middle to score a goal to make it 1-1. That is what £100 million buys you. A superb... I wasn't even him that made the pass out there. It might not have been. I'm starting to doubt that now. But if it was him that made the pass out there and made the run to the box and scored it, superb. Right, I'm going to go aggressive at half-time. Far from pleased from what I've just seen from you boys. Kaufman's motivated, but he's one of the worst players on the pitch right now. So he may come off later on, actually, as I think about it. Right, looks like a chance for us as the Bacholk puts the ball forward, but it gets headed back, but he collects the ball himself again. And now we're trying to break forward once again. Oriol with a nice ball through to Hammer Time, who turns around, plays it back to Bacholk, and a great ball up towards Morala, who puts it into Mark Hall. Easy as that. Easy as that. When we've got the quality of players that we do in our side, goals come out of nothing like that, and that was a superb move to put us in front in this game and put us third in the table as things stand on goal difference. Man United and West Ham United are the other sides that have a 100% record so far. West Ham, obviously, obviously we sold them to Jimenez to them, didn't we? So maybe Jimenez is the one that's scoring loads of goals for them, and now they're going to win the league with Jimenez, as Morala, set up by George Hernandez, the new boy at right back, scores the third goal, moves us up to second in the table right now. That'll be on goals scored, I think, but West Ham still above us just on goal difference. Are they playing now, West Ham? They are, but unfortunately Jimenez not scored for them yet. A bit of an issue. Right, a couple of changes going to be made in this game. Hammer Time's really not played very well, has he? We're going to move him out to the wing instead, as Lakasik's also not played very well and got no one who can play on the wing there. Thomas will come on as a complete forward. We'll swap him and Hall around, just see if they want to have a little fun time, I don't know, something like that. Merton's not played overly well, so Jalapeno will come on as well, and Kaufman again not played too well, so Zook will come on for him as a replacement. So all three subs at the same time, but I'm going to take that risk, I think. Oh, penalty! Ball just came into the box and it must have been pushed over. Mark Call's going to take this penalty. He is still the best penalty taker at the club, unfortunately. I still don't really have much trust in him, but I back his stats. That's what I mean. I'm a stat man, so I back the stats that say like penalty taking like 17 or something like that. So I back that. However, he has failed to score penalties in some big occasions. So that's a bit of an issue, but he put it away here to bring the scoreline to 4-1 now. Chance now perhaps for Crystal Palace, although we have just one possession back now. So Hernandez, show me what you can do, you new boy. As he, well, didn't really show much there, to be fair. Gomez is going to be waiting on the wings for you. You know, if you don't put performances in, Gomez is going to be waiting. Seisu, what is going on there? Jesus Christ, what had happened there? See, Hernandez, he's already distracting me from my work. You know, I need to be watching the game, but I'm trying to talk to him instead when he makes mistakes like that. And I missed that. That is ridiculous. We've got a chance now to come forward. Wilfred Thomas on the ball out towards Morala, who nearly makes it 5. I should just point out as well, Barish Urza is on the bench. I've decided to keep a goalkeeper on the bench for a little while, just because I lack a bit of confidence. Although in Premier League games, as Mark Call makes it 5. What a result this has turned out to be after going 1-0 down. I feel like I'll take him off actually the bench in Premier League games, but Champions League, I'm not going to take any chances. Barish Urza is always going to be on the bench just in case. And there we go. Crystal Palace 1, Lincoln 5 in the end. Mark Call with a hat-trick, Morella with 1 and Oriel with the other. Fantastic stuff that. That is a fantastic result. So Mark Call doing pretty well for himself. Already, what's he on now? 8 goals this season already, if you include the... that includes the Community Shield, doesn't it? Or the Charity Cup, or what we want to call it. So he's doing pretty well. Right, next episode then, we're going to do West Ham and Olympiacos. We're going to miss that first Champions League game against Lille because it's only like round the corner, and I think we should comfortably beat them. Then we'll probably go on to do a Juventus, and then maybe a Lille, and then maybe another Olympiacos. But I think we probably should wrap the group stage up at this point, I would imagine. So we'll sort of do things by ear, but next episode is going to be West Ham and Olympiacos. So thank you very much for watching today's episode. Hope you have enjoyed it, and thank you very much once again to those Patreons who have contributed. I appreciate your donations so much, and it will go a long way to helping improve the channel in the future. So thank you very much for watching. Make sure you drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and I will see you next time for some more Lincoln Loco action.